Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 102 of the Video Games Ahoy Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Radford, and today I'm joined by Dav Weeks.
Well, hello there.
And Zach Hamilton.
Hello.
How are you doing, gents?
Very well. How are you, Johnny?
I'm good. It's been a busy week, both in the terms of video game news, but also just busy week in general.
Mm.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
We've got the new time slot for the podcast, so
We have. We're kind of landing on like this Wednesday at 7. Wednesday in general is good for me. It's
feeling all right for me. I don't know.
I feel pretty hot right now. I'll be honest. Feel pretty good.
Pretty hot.
Gents, should we just get into it? Should we just get into the news? Because there's quite a lot of news.
You got to tell me what's been going on, because I have to be honest, I had a crazy week and I couldn't keep up with all of the stuff that was going on.
It's
I haven't
fine.
looked.
Tell us a GTA story, Johnny.
Right, so
I haven't even looked at the group chat yet, man.
Yeah.
Tell me what's going on.
So so last week GTA got hacked, and it's a pretty the whole story is pretty crazy in general, because I was seeing the news as it broke, and I was like, and I was just commenting on the WhatsApp group. There's 50 messages, no one responded because obviously everyone else has lives. But there's just me freaking out, losing it, going, this is insane. And I was seeing all of the videos, all of the footage, everything coming through at the moment that it was. And I wasn't even it was one of those things where I didn't even try searching for it. I wasn't even looking for it. It was impossible to miss. If you follow any form of gaming stuff on Twitter, even if you don't follow gaming stuff on Twitter, it was such big news that it was just trending all over Twitter. But yeah, so GTA 6 Rockstar got hacked. What it sounds like is Slack got hacked. And what's even crazier is it sounds like it was was there a social? Was there? I can't remember if there's the right term. It's socially done.
Are you telling me Rockstar uses Slack?
Oh man,
I think that's
it's mad.
That's interesting.
It's really interesting, and the thing, there's a lot of things to talk about in general, because I've been thinking about this all week, because it's a crazy story, and we haven't actually seen anything as big as this probably since Half-Life 2 back in 2003. The whole source code for that game was leaked, and they had to basically start scrap a lot of it and do it again. And people are wondering as well why it's such a big deal, the source code, and why that might be out there. A lot of it is basically because it would make multiplayer redundant in many ways, because everyone would have instant hacks. They'd know how to get around all of it, because they'd have the code base. They know exactly, okay, well, if I do this, they could break the game essentially to do whatever they wanted, which is why it's such a big deal, especially because multiplayer is such a big aspect. Anyway, I'll read a couple of things out, because I know I've kind of skipped ahead there, but I'll just read a few things out. So basically, Grand Theft Auto actually they acknowledged this. I think it was Tuesday, maybe Monday. I can't remember which day it was, but they actually posted on Twitter, because for a couple of days, people were like, is this real? Is this fake? It was no, it's definitely real. I never understood how people thought it was fake. But yeah, in a statement published on its social channels, the company said it was extremely disappointed to have details on the game shared in this way, and claimed that the leak would not delay the project. That's the first kind of good news, I guess. I guess the second thing we should say with the leak, with the delay, is we don't know when the game's coming out. How can you delay something that's not been dated? So they could just say, oh, it's coming out in 2025 when originally it was supposed to be 2024, but how would we know? So I guess I guess
they're just saying this is bad for everyone.
Yeah.
No matter what, it's going to come out later than they wanted it to.
Yeah. So what they said was, we recently suffered a network intrusion in which an unauthorized third party illegally accessed and downloaded confidential information from our systems, including early development footage for the next Grand Theft Auto. It pretty much goes on like that, so I won't read much more. It's just kind of the same thing. They've kind of summed it up within the first two paragraphs there. So basically, the game in theory shouldn't be delayed, and they've kind of got a handle on the whole situation now as well. What seemed going back to the Slack thing, the thing that's crazy about Slack is that it sounds like it was just it sounds like what it could have been is basically someone asked for a password on Slack, and someone someone thought that it was someone actually trying to access a password. It wasn't actually they broke in and stole information. Like the way it sounds, like the way it's been described by a lot of people is that like someone just got onto their Slack and then just took the information, like just went on there and just downloaded the information. It wasn't even like they broke in. It was just, I mean, they did, but do you know what I mean? It wasn't like you see in the movies where like I'm going to break into the mainframe, all that kind of stuff. It was just, they just got onto Slack and they downloaded the videos.
Wow.
Which is insane. I mean,
That is bonkers.
the thing is that like a lot of the saddest thing for me about this whole thing, the most worrying thing for me about this whole thing, isn't actually so much the game being leaked. That does suck. The thing that worries me more than anything else is the whole like work from home culture. Because some people will think, oh, this is why you shouldn't be allowed to work from home. So you'll get a lot of people who are probably terrified by that now, like having that rescinded when working from home has probably changed their lives for the better. You know, there could be a number of reasons. You know, they could be disabled. They could, you know, have loads. They could have kids. Loads of reasons why it works for them, and they would never do anything like this. But that was one of the first things that came to my head, is that like you can already hear like business people being like, oh, we should get everyone back into the office because this wouldn't happen. It would, because they still use Slack in the office. That's the thing, like, and also
100%.
that is the thing. You will use Slack all of this because it is easier to send some, like, even if you're sat over there and you're at your desktop, and by over there I'm just gesturing to the end of my room, which is not very far away. You'd be like, hey, I'm going to send you this. What do you think? Because it's quicker than you going, hey, drop everything you're doing right now, come over here and watch what I'm doing for the next 10 minutes. It's just like, watch this video. Okay, click, done. So this would, like, if that's how it was done, it would have been done anyway. It wouldn't, but
Yeah.
I guess my worry is that like people will say, oh, this is a reason why we shouldn't allow people to work from home, which is a worry, because it's a very progressive thing, and we need to not make sure that happens. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of everything. They leaked 90 videos.
90 videos. That's got to
Yes.
be one of the biggest leaks ever.
Honestly,
It's huge.
the only one I keep seeing it, like the people who know way more than me about this and would have remembered it more than me, because I don't remember the Half-Life 2 leak, is Half-Life 2, because that game the source code was just completely leaked and they had to like do a lot of things from scratch, and it added like 2 years apparently.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and then there's this whole other side story. Like, there's a few other things from the story as well, which is it's insane. A few other things from the story as well is that a lot of people have been getting annoyed because of the quality of it. But what they actually don't like, again, what they've been saying is this is like a lot of this video footage is from like 3 years ago, when they're basically just playing around with ideas and testing things. So they're just reusing assets. Apparently it was used on a PS4 dev kit. So it's not even a PS5 dev kit. They were just like, we're just going to use this PS4 dev kit and we're going to play around with ideas, and then we can make everything look better further down the line. And there's been a whole thing on Twitter actually the last week where everyone's been like posting videos of what their games look like, you know, within the first couple of years, and some of them are hilarious. Zach, did you ever see the? I'm gonna bring up Breath of the Wild because it's a really big one. Like, when they were playing around with ideas for Breath of the Wild, they actually made a 2D top-down version of
that's right.
So when it came to ideas, when they're just playing with ideas, it's just an idea thing. They're just testing to see how things work out. So that's been a big thing.
I mean, that's always the case. I don't think that's a new concept for anyone, right? Like that's.
It was weird. There was a lot of pushback on Twitter with people being like, "Oh, it doesn't look like it's on the PS5." It's like, that's because it's not finished.
It's not.
It's not
Yeah,
finished.
it's not a game.
It's on
It's
PS4. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like, because I know you guys have not a chance to read about it, so I apologize if I've kind of rambled on here. Like, this has been the craziest story in the last couple of days. It's just absolutely bonkers, and it's kind of come to a head as well, because now the FBI are involved.
Wow.
So what it sounds like is the same person that did this also hacked Uber recently, and I think there's a big thing in America, because I don't know. There's rumors about where the person is from. I don't know exactly, but even so, like, I think it's something to do with like, I mean, hacking into your system anyway is illegal, but like doing something like that across state. There's something about state lines in America where it's like a big no-no. Like, as soon as you break state lines, the FBI can get involved. I don't know enough about that. I just from what I've listened to on podcasts and people about like as soon as the state lines, as soon as they're involved, the FBI gets involved, and we get Mulder and Scully chasing down the bad guys.
I guess because they have like state police, right? So then when they cross state lines, it's like difficult for them to.
Yeah. Well, that's what's the Federal Bureau of Investigation. There's federalism for all states. Right? When the local police can't go into the next state along, then the FBI can get involved. Yeah.
I don't know why I piped up when you clearly know far more about this stuff.
I don't know. I go with federal. I just really like the idea that the FBI were in Mar-a-Lago taking all these top secret stuff from Trump's home.
Yeah.
And then going again to call it, right, drop the boxes. We got to get to Rockstar.
Yeah, this is so important. This is the biggest
GTA
thing.
6 is being leaked. No. Shit.
It was absolutely wild though. I've genuinely never seen anything like it. It was like every 5 minutes a new video would pop up. Like, and they weren't like 5-second videos. They were like 3-minute videos, like conversations, like just loads of things. Like there was one of the scenes was two of the protagonists like robbing a diner, and that whole thing was like 3-4 minutes long. It would, and that was like 90 of those. It's like, it's a lot. It was a lot that got leaked. So much assets. It was crazy. Absolutely bonkers. But yeah, there's not really much more to say. Did you like? I don't really know what else to say about that. Really, it's just I don't really know what kind of blowback we're gonna get. Really, if Rockstar is actually going, if we will never know really if it actually does delay it, unless someone actively comes in and says, yes, this game was delayed by approximately 18 months because of this. It could very well be. We just might never know.
Yeah, that's completely true.
It's quite funny though, because like there's a lot of people online but like, wow, I don't mind because we should have had a GTA game 6 years ago.
Well, those people need to get on.
Yeah. But yeah,
you guys get like, let's say like a trailer came out tomorrow for actual gameplay for GTA 6. Would you guys be hyped about that or?
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I liked, the thing is, I actually like GTA. I understand why people wouldn't or don't like it, especially like playing GTA 5 recently. Like it is aged quite badly in many ways. Like there's a lot of stuff, and I get people like, oh, but it's supposed to be like edgy and all that. But sometimes it's just you can tell sometimes it's doing stuff, and you're like, there was no need for that. Like I get it if it's a contextual thing, you know, and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes it's just like, ha, look, a transgender, and then it's just like, oh, really? Like it's just really, they do stuff like that, and that's the kind of weird stuff. I don't know.
For me, like, I treat it similar to like watching South Park. Yeah, I mean, it's all a little bit ironic. It's, you know, the whole thing is just stupid. And like, I kind of laugh at it as much as I laugh with it, to be honest.
Definitely. Like, you have to take it like that. I mean,
it's just like, let's see them make out of like stupid mayhem moments in American culture.
I tell you what though, I am genuinely really excited to see what they do with the next game, because there's so many things Red Dead Redemption 2 did that if they could be implemented more, like I don't know, like robbing little stores, like the way we were seeing, like on that video. I think that's really cool. Like I think if you could do that more often, it's like, hey, I'm gonna go in that store and I'm gonna, you know, rob the store, and I'm gonna run away, and gonna get chased by like level 4 police. That's like the next step. Nothing like more bombastic. Like that kind of level, I think, is more interesting. Mm-hmm. But yeah, crazy times. Shall we move on, because that's a lot of GTA.
Yeah.
Let's talk about another game that got leaked. Diablo 4. 40 minutes of Diablo 4 footage is seemingly leaked online. So this is like 3 days after. Yeah. There was 2 clips. One lasting 5 minutes, and the other lasted 38 minutes. Which is pretty great. And then also someone put out a fake leak that Red Dead Redemption 1 remake had leaked, but that was just people playing. But this one was real. And it was, like I said, only a couple of days after. I think that's mad.
I mean, it's nowhere near as big as GTA 6. Like, let's go, Diablo 4. In a way, maybe nobody saw it.
Apart from the Diablo 4 fans, who apparently responded to it quite well.
I think I think the 2 Diablo fans were off sick that day.
ACP! How's it going, ACP? How you doing? ACP's in the chat. We're just talking about leaks and not the food. We're talking about gaming leaks. But yeah, that was weird. Zach, I'm going to move on to something that you might want to talk about. Well, actually, maybe Dev Weeks as well. I don't know. I've been talking to Dav Gape about this, but I feel like
I think I know what you're going to say.
As the PlayStation VR guru in this group, how do you feel about PlayStation VR 2 not being backwards compatible with PlayStation VR 1?
Not remotely surprising was my first thought when I saw that. I was just like, yeah, that sounds like PlayStation. That sounds like Sony these days. That sounds like this industry. It sounds a lot like the VR industry. I don't know, man. Like, I feel like there's been a lot of stuff even around the Oculus, like the whole thing where you have to have like a Facebook account.
Oh yeah,
weird to me.
Yeah.
But you can get a version where you don't have to have a Facebook account, but it's like twice the price. Like, man, the VR thing is. I think it's just like it seems like it's just so early in the VR world. Obviously, it's been going for a while, but in terms of like the technology as a whole, it's very early days. So, I feel like they haven't figured out what they're doing, and my guess is actually that it's tough to get people on board with the idea. So that means then they have to do more, shady business practices. Because truthfully, the people who are going to buy the VR 2 are going to be the people who bought the VR 1, is my guess.
Yeah.
At least that'll be a big portion of their market. Hopefully, lots of people will get into the idea and get on board with the VR thing, but I don't know, man.
It was
nerve-wracking to hear that.
It was a weird one because Dav, are you do you think you'd pick up a PSVR 2?
Me, like I'm still struggling on whether or not I want to get a PS5. Quite honestly,
wow.
and it's just like that. That's just another massive expense on top of that.
Yep.
I'd love to have a go at VR and like get and dick about with it. Like it sounds like great fun, but it's a high like admission fee.
Yeah, 100%. We don't know how much. I don't think they've released a price for this. Like everyone's kind of roughly.
It ain't going to be
like,
cheap. Let's be honest.
Yeah, people are kind of roughly going. It's probably going to be about 500, 600 quid based on
top of a PS5.
On top of a PS5, yeah. So like based on what more, like similar technology is around that price.
You're knocking on the door of $1,000.
Yeah.
Just to get into it.
Like I'm fortunate that I was able to get a PS5 like pretty much 3 weeks after it came out. And I paid it off. So like for me, it is something that I could get because I could be like, okay, this is the next big thing I afford, blah blah blah. I'm both tempted and not tempted. Like the thing is with this, like personally, it doesn't really bother me at all because I don't really have any games in the PSVR, and like because the only game I have I think was Hitman. The only game I'd be interested in playing that I actually own is Hitman. But the funny thing about this whole story is just the way that Sony tried to sell it. So it wasn't just they were just like, the technology that we've got is far more advanced than what we did with PSVR 1. What we did with PSVR 1 is actually not the industry standard. What we're doing now is more like the industry standard. So now we can actually get more games from like the outside rather than just stuff that we need working for us. And there's more games that'll be able to come. Unless they didn't word it like that, because obviously that would be them admitting that the first one wasn't as good as it should have been. So they were just like, I've got the quote here. Where is it? PSVR. Okay. I'm gonna read this out. PSVR games are not compatible with PSVR 2 because PSVR 2 is designed to deliver a truly next-generation VR experience.
I love your Watch Mojo voice. That is really spot on.
Like
that's exactly what it was.
Watch Mojo. By the way, Watch Mojo voice is the name of the title.
Johnny's Watch Mojo voice. Yeah, you're spot on though. Like it's just a vague platitude to avoid actually like confessing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the thing is as well is that it annoys people, like, because the actual reasons for it is it's a genuine thing. Like, the reason there are issues with it, like the controllers wouldn't work because the controls are different, because it's not like just a normal controller. It's not, you know, just pick it up and play it like that. You have the two controllers in your hands, and I think there's less buttons, but like the way it responds is different. Like, the way everything works is different. So like, it makes sense why it wouldn't work, but I just don't understand why they didn't say that. Like, the whole like business speak. That's the thing I didn't understand. I just like, it's just nonsense, but
Proper
funny.
politicians answer.
Yeah, big time.
It feels like we don't really know anything about the VR2. Like the things that have been said don't feel very concrete, in my view.
Yeah.
Like, truthfully, from my limited experience of VR, the things I want to know is like, how's it gonna look? Like, because the VR1, for instance, is like, it feels like you're looking at, you know, like 480p on a good day, probably
Yeah.
more like 220. Is that going to be improved? That would be my first thought. Like, is it going to look? Because I don't actually know what the specs are for
I
the
think it's
VR1. But I
4K.
don't.
Oh no, for the PSV one, I think it's just 1080p.
But it really doesn't look like 1080p. Like, it really
Well,
just.
it's stretched over your entire field of view, which is why it probably doesn't look as
Right. So
sweet
that's my
as it
point.
should.
Is like, how then? That would be my question. I want to hear from. Truthfully, I don't think I would be confident to put any money down until I hear an external reviewer talk candidly about it. You know, and for the VR1, the only you know, upside I think that I could hear anyone talking about was it was a bit more comfortable than some of the other headsets, which is probably true because it's nice and padded and stuff. But like, it's not like the first thing I could see why you would think that's a good thing, but it's not the first thing I think of when I'm like getting
Yeah.
excited about a new console experience.
There's been a couple of previews, not actual reviews yet. People have previewed the PSVR 2, and they've said
Oh,
it's
sure.
really good. They've said it's really good. It's way better than obviously way better than the first one. The graphics are way better. Like, it runs way better, and there's way less cables as well. Because the first one, man, like, you know, you
Yeah.
have one. Like, I borrowed my brother's for about 2 months. There's so many cables that it's like it's so much like you have to want to play it. It's not just something you're
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, it's just
yeah.
setup. It's like, no, you have, like, there's so many cables.
Yeah.
And there's
Well,
so many fiddly bits.
there's a reason we never went back to the Resident Evil 7
Yeah.
playthrough. Apart from the fact that we don't have like that much time, but like the setup for that is such a pain in the ass.
It is a pain in the ass.
Ugh.
No, I agree. It's totally, when I bought my brother's, I was just like, there's another one? Another cable?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
what? This is stupid. But yeah,
In 2022, like I don't know why we need any cables.
Oh,
that's
surely.
the dream. A
Surely.
cableless world is the dream. Right, but yeah, that is PSVR 2. That is a thing. That is no PSVR 1 games unless there's going to be a patch, which I guess it's also PlayStation admitting that if companies want to do that, it's up to them. But they will not be focusing on it, which again, I guess is a business decision. There's two more things, but they're both really quick. One of them is that there's going to be a new Iron Man game.
Oh,
New
just
Man
Iron
game.
Man.
Just Iron Man. So Electronic Arts has announced it's working on a brand new Iron Man game. I believe the director is the director of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which was a very good game. That was very cool, and I actually kind of like that it's like that, because that kind of gives you an idea of what Iron Man is going to be like, which is kind of cool. If it's going to be like that, if it's going to be like a God of War or like sort of linear Guardians of the Galaxy linear track adventure, I'm actually more excited for that than if it was open world. I'd be more like if it was open world. But again, I'm just assuming. And when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, which is what
And Tony Stark.
And Tony Stark. But yeah, it's the people that are making Dead Space, the Dead Space remake. They are the ones that are going to be doing it. So I guess we'll have an idea of the quality when Dead Space remake comes out, which is cool.
Interesting.
The final one, shut up, phone. My phone's talking to me. The final one is a story that I only saw like 5 minutes before. Do you guys watch Ted Lasso?
I do not.
No.
Okay, but so Ted, do you know anything about Ted Lasso?
Yes.
Okay. basically
American running a football club.
An American running an English football club, Richmond AFC, I think it is, or FC. They're in the next FIFA game.
What?
Like,
okay, that's pretty cool.
So Ted Lasso and the fake Richmond team are in the next FIFA game. So that's Jason. Is it Jason Sudeikis? He is in the next FIFA. I think he's like a manager you can pick in the next FIFA game, which I find actually quite. I think that's really funny. I actually think that's quite. I think that's quite clever as well. I might play FIFA just so I can play as my boy Teddy Lasso.
Interesting.
But yeah,
okay.
That is it from news.
That's pretty cool.
There was other things, but like, nothing as big as Ted Lasso. Right. Let's be honest. But yeah, do you guys have any games you've been playing? Games you played?
Well, because I'm on tour, I'm limited.
Ooh.
I can't remember. Go on.
Dab, I was gonna say you might not have played a game, but did you see the review scores for Monkey Island?
Yeah, you shared them, and I was like, really? And then I watched the IGN review video, and I was like, oh. I'm not a fan of the art style, if I'm honest, but I am really up for playing it. But I'm worried that I should maybe play the old games first, because I haven't played them in approximately 15 years.
Wow.
So maybe I should rattle through the first few games.
I didn't realize it's only £22.
Oh, I'll be getting it.
Yeah, only £22.
In fact, I might download it on my Switch. Pretty sharpish.
So one of my pals, he loves Monkey Island as well. He bought it on the Switch like 2 days ago, and he said it's awesome. And he says it actually runs really well. It runs really well on Switch, and it plays quite well as well. Because obviously you don't have a mouse, but like you can. I think you've seen the touch screen. You can use the buttons.
I'm assuming you could be able to touch it.
Yeah.
It's a point and click at the end of the day. If you can't point and click with a Switch, then what the fuck is the Switch doing?
But yeah, I'm really excited to get the Dav Weeks review treatment.
Oh, get on that. Oh, it's exciting.
But you were going to say something. I interrupted you, and I can't. You were going to say something.
Oh no, yeah. I don't know if I mentioned this game, but so I've been just going over all my app games on my phone and on my iPad, really, and I have a board game. I can't remember if I mentioned before, Twilight Struggle, which is a really, really nerdy, in-depth board game about the Cold War for two people. It takes hours to play. I've got it on my iPad, therefore making it the most over-the-top toilet game I think I'm reviewing. Okay, because what more would you want from a little journey to the little boy's room than to accurately recreate the Cold War in heavily detailed card-playing format? Yeah, I mean, come on.
That sounds like every dream. Everyone's dream.
You've got to be really struggling on the toilet to get through the entire Cold War.
Not gonna lie, you're gonna have to do quite a few trips. It's a long game, but bloody hell, And also, there's some kind of funny connection. If I'm gonna play Blitzkrieg and in the game.
I really enjoyed that. I've missed Dav's toilet games.
There we go. I thought I'd bring it back.
It's been a while since we've had a toilet game.
But there we go.
I enjoyed that.
Twilight Struggle, a very inappropriate toilet game.
Zach, you've been playing anything, man?
Man, I sat down and played a little bit of. I was telling you I was playing a little bit of The Last of Us 2 to go back to my permadeath preparations that I don't know if I'll ever get back to. But since then, man, I've just no time at all, and I'm moving around a lot. What have you been playing, Jonathan?
Well, actually, there's two things I can actually talk about. One of them I can just talk about very quickly. And the other one I can kind of talk because there's a game you played, or at least played some of, and I'll get into the second just after I talk about God of War. I finished God of War finally. and which is rare. I said last week that I'm really bad when I stop playing a game. I find it really hard to get back into playing a game. Like, it's a real struggle. If I stop playing a game and put it down for like a week, I just lose all the urge to play, and I'll just want to play something else. Even if that game is amazing, which God of War is, it took me so long and so many tries to get back into it. Thankfully, like, I think God of War Ragnarok trailer came out last week, and I was like, you know what? If I'm not gonna beat it now, I'm not gonna beat this game before Ragnarok comes out, and I can't really justify buying Ragnarok if I haven't beaten the first game. Because
true.
So I literally like sat down and I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna blast through this, and I put on like really low difficulty and just enjoyed the story. And to be fair, when I got to the end, I was like, okay, I kind of wish I had just played it all through from the start, because this game is very, very good. It's really so good, and I think I would have got a better experience of it. But saying that, I'm glad I finished it, even if it was kind of like broken up completely over like a year or 2 years. And I'm really excited for God of War Ragnarok. I would totally recommend playing it, because I think you can get it for like 20 quid, which is mad. But the game I was going to talk to Zach about in particular was, I remember saying a couple of months ago, maybe even like 2 months ago, that I started playing Resident Evil 7 on my Xbox.
Oh shit, you did tell me about this.
On my Xbox, and then like they took it off Game Pass, and I was devastated, because I was like, I don't want, like, it was like 30 quid to buy, and I was like, I don't really want to spend 30 quid on Resident Evil 7 because it's been up for like 4 years, so I'll wait till it comes on, till it gets to a discount. And it never really, every time it came to a discount, I was always skint and I couldn't justify buying it. Even if it was only like 12 quid, I was like, yeah, food, probably need more.
Yeah.
But like,
food is good.
I literally got paid like last week, and on that day, with one more day to go before the deal ended, it was like £12 for the deluxe edition on Xbox. I was like, you know what? I'm glad, because it had to specifically be on Xbox so I could pick up from my save status from where I was previously. So I was like, awesome. I'm going to play this game. Finally. And Zach, I kind of made an apology to you previously, but now actually I have to give you like a second one, because I've shit my pants so many times. It's like to the point where Rosie like actively says that I can't play it when she's watching something she likes because I make too much noise. Because like it's genuinely like, and I'm not even doing it in VR. I'm just doing it with headphones on. But it is way scarier than any of the third person's Resident Evil games, because it is first person. You can't see what is coming. You have no idea. So you turn around and it's there, and it's just, it genuinely is the scariest game I've ever played.
Would you know the first section where you the first scare that you get, like,
yeah,
I played the first bit before I played with you.
Was it
the first 10 minutes or whatever, and I got to the point where I knew that there was a scare coming, and I literally took the headset off and went, nope, I don't know, fuck that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Sometimes I get like so scared that I have one earphone on and one earphone out. So I'm like, I can't, because if it's on, it's like all I can see is my screen and the game, and all I can hear is the creepy noises of someone like walking around in the background, and it's terrifying, absolutely terrifying. I'm loving it, like, but it's just really scary. Just it's really funny, because like I just constantly talk about how scared I am, and Rosie's always laughing because I'm screaming, and then just like yelping like a little puppy because everything's terrifying. But I can see why Resident Evil got back on track with 7, because it is just a brilliant. It's a really good game. It's so good, and
it's very much going back to form. You know, like what worked in the first place. Let's try and put that into a new perspective, rather than hashing out the same stuff again and again.
Yeah, because I've never played. Well, I think we spoke about it, like maybe playing 6 together, because I think that's 6 is multiplayer, or is it 5 multiplayer? I can't remember which one.
5 is the 2-player one.
So I think we spoke about that, but I hated it. 6 apparently isn't very good at all. Like, get really bad reviews, and
6 is just a mess. Like,
but yeah, it's
5 is really, really stupid, but it's fine. It's very much just like 4, but wait, you didn't like 4 though, right?
Well, it's not so much that I didn't like 4. It's just that, like,
wait, so you shouldn't play 5. If you didn't like 4, you don't want to play 5.
It's weird. It's not so much that I didn't like 4. It's more like it's really hard to play games with tank controls when tank controls aren't really used anymore. So like to do the whole stop, turn around, but it does feel quite dated. And because I didn't play it as a kid, so I don't have that sort of like reverence for it. I just kind of like, I play it as someone that never played it. I'm like, oh, this feels a bit clunky. I'll just wait until the remake is coming out and I'll play that instead, which I feel like is a sounder decision.
I think that's really, really fair. I mean, for me, because I played it in 2005, like the year after it came out. 2005, it was like an amazing epic shooter, which because like there wasn't that much to compete with. You know what I mean? Like 2005, what's that? It's like Time Splitters, like for first-person shooters, I guess, and then like Medal of Honor and stuff. But just never really had like the punchiness that modern shooters have, and certainly not that Resident Evil 4 had. Yeah, we shouldn't play Resident Evil 5. I take it back. I forgot that you didn't like 4.
Does 5 have tank controls, or is it kind of?
Yes.
Does it really?
Yeah, it's the same gameplay. They just like copy and paste the gameplay, but they just don't have any of like the style.
Again, I feel spoiled because I played the remakes of 2 and 3, which are just general action games. And if they had the controls of 2 and 3, I like the remakes of 2 and 3, which are like 2 is phenomenal. 2 is genuine. The remake of 2 is one of the best games I've played in the last couple of years. It's so good. That's why I just figured like I don't want to ruin 4 like in my mind. So I just kind of want to beat. I'm just gonna wait. There's so many games I've got coming out for the rest. So many games that I want to play for the rest of the year. That I'll just wait because I think it's out like quite early. I think it's like March next year or something like that. I don't think it's very late next year.
I can't remember. I don't think it's too late, is it?
But you mentioned Resident Evil 4 when it came out. Did you know that like they had to downgrade Resident Evil 4 when they ported it to the PS2?
They did, I remember being very smug about that at the time because I had loads of friends with PlayStations and I had a GameCube, and I was like,
isn't that mad though? Because I think the general consensus always seems to be that the PlayStation 2 is the best, one of the best consoles of all time.
Yeah.
But the GameCube actually was a more powerful console, which is a mad thing to say that a Nintendo console was more powerful than a PlayStation 1. There was a time when that was the case.
But it also ended up being, a kind of not a very good move for them. I mean, the biggest thing was that they didn't have enough of the third-party developer stuff, which PlayStation did have. I mean, like PlayStation 2 had just so many games, man. Like crap games, great games, everything in between. And the GameCube, I don't know the numbers, but I would be willing to wager that it's like 10 to 1.
So I'm gonna posit something. If you think I'm talking out of my bum, then please let me know. But I would argue that like the top 10 games of the GameCube are probably better than the top 10 games on the PS2. But like the top like 500 games on the PS2 would be like way better than the top. Does that make sense? I'm not like
I think that's probably pretty spot on.
I'd also check on that, just the top 10 most bonkers novel and original games are on the GameCube, because there's some weird shit on there, man.
Oh yeah. I said you're talking out your bum. Thanks, ACP. I am talking about my bum. I said to Zach last time I saw him, Dad, that I kind of want to buy a GameCube just to have it in my collection, because I think it's the only one I don't have a SNES and I don't have an NES, but I have much nostalgia for those, so I'm not really that bothered. But I'm gutted that I sold some consoles and I want to try and buy them back so I can at least like redeem my younger self, my stupid younger self, who was very.
I've still got my GameCube.
Oh really?
Still have it. I should probably,
Oh man, I'd love to see a Davwink's GameCube stream. Just like a Zach Hamilton Dreamcast stream.
Did I ever do a Dreamcast stream? I don't think I did one.
I think you were going to.
Become a retro channel before you know it.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I have a capture card for it, because I think my capture card is just VGC or HD. I don't think I can go to I can't remember what the output is or the input is for a Dreamcast.
We'll work it out. We'll Yeah.
The retro streams are coming back. Honestly, some of my favorite streams when we used to stream all the time was me and Dab Weeks playing Nintendo games and making absolute tits of ourselves.
Good crack.
Yeah, it was
Good crack.
Pokemon Stadium.
Right, if I can dig out some of my really esoteric GameCube games, that could be really fun.
But you made a really good point about GameCube as well. Like, there's a lot of games on it that were the first in the series as well for Nintendo. Like, I know Animal Crossing was on the 64 in Japan, but like the first one it was really on was GameCube, right? Like, there was where the rest of the world anyway where it was sold. And like you had is it Doshin the Giant? There was that weird weird game. Luigi's Mansion as well.
Mansion.
Pikmin.
See, weird things.
Yeah.
Like Nintendo were like, right, we've got a powerful console. That's the straight and narrow. That's like, obviously that's fine. There's nothing exciting about the GameCube. It's just a console.
Mm-hmm.
But the games are going to be wacky. Like Okami, that was weird.
Oh, what a game, though.
You know, I've got a game called Odama, which is basically pinball and Japanese feudal warfare in one. Okay, it's weird. With voice controls. What? It's weird. You basically play pinball while telling your samurai army what to do using voice controls.
I love this.
It's the weirdest game.
I love what animated you're getting. This is amazing. This is brilliant. This is the content I want. I want Dab Weeks ranting about a pinball game.
Pinball feudal Japan. Yeah. And we also had the Pokemon game where you basically just talk to Pikachu. Yeah, that was the thing. There was a game where literally you just talk to Pikachu using a microphone.
Mad. I mean, even if we just talk about the two biggest games in the franchise, two of the more like out of left field ones, Super Mario Sunshine with Flood and Wind Waker, like two games like completely just
weird games.
Just very
weird
not like the
anomalies. Yeah,
we're turning into a GameCube Stan account right now, and I mean, I don't know about you guys. In fact, that's the name of the title: GameCube Stan account. There we go. I'll write that down.
Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, it's I do want to try and pick one up because I had to sell one. When I was a kid, I could only really afford one console. And we had a me and my brothers had a PS2, and I had a GameCube, but I just couldn't buy games for either or. It was either or, and I was like, there's so many games come up for the PS2, so I sold my GameCube, and I've regretted it as an adult. Every time I look back and go, you stupid child, stupid boy. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Though our love for the GameCube will keep going on and on and on and on until Dab Weeks does a stream. Awesome. We'll leave it there, gents. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been fun. It's been fun talking about GTA and the GameCube and everything in between. We'll see you next Wednesday, everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.